Thank you for having me back again. I always enjoy being in this community. I understand you had fun with my friend Sharon Anake. Yep, I've been around church a long time, and the mystics and the poets don't always fit into the structures we have. But wow, can they make a difference with what they bring? So, good. When I first moved to Oahu, I, of course, immediately started attending church meetings. One of the first church meetings I attended was out heading toward the Ewa Plains. There's a church there called Kananafo Church, one of our Samoan churches. And when I finally found it, you get off a freeway and you go up to the stoplight, and then you double back past a power exchange station of some sort, and you follow right along the off-ramp, gravel and nasty, and then you follow along the freeway down which you had just come, and then there's this little piece of land that somehow they had managed to get that nobody else wanted. And on that nasty track of land to get to the actual place where we were meeting, I saw individual clumps of trees and bushes. Like, here's one, and then here's another one, far apart from each other. What I was told by the folk at that church was when they got the place, the whole place was bare. Like, not a stick, not a bush, not a leaf in the entire property. And they didn't have money to hire a landscaper. So what they did was they offered up to every family in the community the opportunity to be responsible for a chunk of it. Yeah? So there were fruit trees. I think I probably saw my first breadfruit, although I didn't know what it was. There were fruit trees, and there were bushes, and there were plants that were clearly growing things that could be eaten, and flowers. And there was no water line, right? So there were buckets here and there. They had to haul all the water to care for the plants they had planted. And I thought, that's brilliant. That's amazing to take this problem, and this visual eyesore, and to have the people come together to solve it. Yeah? When I was growing up in church in Northern California, the church was the place where at the end of the harvest season, everybody would bring their abundance, right? The joke was you lock your car during zucchini season. I make a mean zucchini bread. Bring the zucchini. But people would bring whatever their garden had grown, and they would set it out, and anybody who wanted it could take what they wanted. It was an amazing way to share, because some plants overproduce and some gardeners are overachievers. So we all shared in that abundance, and we didn't have to make every single thing, grow every single thing ourselves. Yeah, it was a community effort. I read a Washington Post article. I read an article recently. Sorry, there's a source? Yes, there's a source to my... All right. I read a story about edible cities. When people ask me what I like to grow and I say I like to grow edibles, we're not talking the same language. I'm working to... So... Title of the article was Edible Cities, and it's like, oh really? How do you do that? It was about the network around the globe, in Cuba and Uganda and Germany and around the globe, cities which have taken, I don't know what you call it, spare land, community land, park land, unused land, and have opened it to the community to grow things, to grow foods, and anybody who wants can come and get some. Anybody? Yeah. And right. And people go, though, yeah, but they're going to take all of it, or, oh, they're going to, it's like, no. The experience is, year after year, decades of this together. There's no problem with people taking more than their share. There's plenty. There's lots. And the volunteers come together and they transform these spaces. Yeah? Edible cities. There's 150 in the Edible Cities Network in Germany, China, Cuba, Tunisia, Togo, Uruguay. Detroit has an urban farming movement. Wow. Philadelphia has food forests. I love that idea. Food forests. There are edible community projects in Atlanta and Los Angeles, and they all rely on volunteers for the weeding and the pruning and the planting. And anyone can come and pick. Even smaller cities like Bloomington, Indiana, and Hyattsville, Maryland have fruit trees and vegetable gardens that can be accessed by anyone. At the Dr. George Washington Carver Edible Park, here we go again, right? the Edible Park in Asheville, North Carolina, which was founded more than 20 years ago, residents can harvest whatever they like from 40 varieties of fruit and nut trees. So, have you read about the community gardens? Have you seen community gardens? Do you know that we have community gardens, not like urban forest stuff and not edible cities, but community gardens? How many community gardens do you think we have on Oahu? Shout them out. What do you think? 10, 20, 40, 50. I heard 2. Okay. There are 10 official, see, and there's the difference, official community gardens on Oahu. There are additional community gardens. Guess what area doesn't have any official community gardens? Waianae, West Side. Yes, we understand. There's a very large community garden there that has been petitioning to be an official one, to be recognized under the whoever it is, right? City and county department that takes care of that stuff. But no, crickets. They haven't heard back. Yeah, right? There were community gardens at a senior residence, public housing senior residence that was removed for safety reasons. When they created a path from some of the public housing in Kalihi to the schools for the kids to walk along, there was a big proposal to line those paths with like ulu trees and with other edible, edible trees with edibles. Yes, to plant things that could be eaten by people. Yes, unregulated, right? You plant it and whoever gets it, gets it. Yeah, have you seen those? No, because they don't exist. The plan was shot down. You can see where people go with this, right? The fear, the othering. Now, I know at least one person here is a colleague of mine on 808 Green Thumbs and the Buy Nothing Network. How many of you are on the Buy Nothing Network? Okay, there's a couple more. Yes. It's actually nationwide. I don't know that it's worldwide. I have to check that. But nationwide at least. It's like the old Free Cycle. Free Cycle used to exist and has gone defunct. But, I have a thing. I have a thing that is or isn't broken, but I no longer need it. But somebody might be able to use it. Yeah, a pot holder, a camp stove, or amazing things, anything. The goal is to keep it out of the landfills. Yeah, so I have a thing, I'm not going to use it, maybe you can use it, so I post it on Facebook, or now there's an app. Of course there's an app. Post it and say, hey, does anybody want this? And people say, yeah, I want it. And then you give it to somebody. No free, it's free. No cost, no exchange, no I'll bring you some, strawberries. No, it's totally free. Of course, in Hawaii, people always show up with a little gifty. Not everybody, but about 50% of the time in my experience. Oh, made some mochi. I will give to you. Anyway. Buy Nothing. The Buy Nothing Network is the community coming together, neighbors meeting neighbors who don't know each other. Hello, we don't know each other anymore. Neighbors sharing from their abundance with other neighbors. Yeah, sometimes it's produce. Sometimes it's, material things. I've seen people give away like crochet lessons and hakule times together. Bring your flowers, I'll teach you what to do. People share their skill as well with each other for free, to build community and to keep things out of the landfill. Absolutely necessary and embraced. And yes, there are the fearmongers. Ooh, you're telling somebody your address. It's like, actually, anybody walking by would be at my house, right? I am not afraid. Yeah, right. Logic, critical thinking. All right, let's talk about the educational system. Critical thinking skills. Yes, you can go meet out in the street. Actually, nobody can find my apartment building, so I always meet people in the street. You just trust and share. And most of the time, it really will be okay to share of your abundance. You have things that I could use. I have things you could use. Lord knows there's folk that, sorry, can we use the L word? I'm teasing. There's things that people out there that are not in this group could use from us. Yeah? We have abundance. We also have those of us who listen to some of the wisdom texts. We have stories of sharing abundance. Yeah? The Hebrew scriptures talk about, it's what I call the gleaning text, right? When you glean, when you harvest, you don't harvest right to the edges. You leave, or if you are picking stuff off of the tree, you don't pick every last thing. You leave some so that whatever is defined as, right, the outsider, the foreigner, the widow, the poor people, right? It depends on your text or your context, but whoever is other, whoever is less than, whoever needs or wants, just wants, can come and also get it. We are told to be generous. And we live in a grasping society. Yeah? Living in awareness of our abundance. And some of us are aware that we don't have the abundance of money that we want, right? I would like to have. Everybody wants 20% more than they have. There have been studies done. 20% more would make me happy. We have all kinds of things. And we, the church, also have lots, abundance, not just 20s out of the ATM, not just disposable cash. We individually and as communities have abundance, right? But what does the church have to offer uniquely? We used to be the spot. We church, we faith community used to be the spot where, like in my childhood, all the zucchini and everything else that was extra came and was shared, where you brought your clothes, to share. The church was the place that was the networking site. Well, not so much anymore, right? It used to be the place where you would go and dance and learn. But now there are nonprofits and there are organizations and there are affinity groups. What does the church have uniquely to speak into this harvest of abundance? Spirit. This is a place, church is a place where the spiritual, the integrated life, the interconnectedness of it all is held and remembered and highlighted. Yeah? God bless the affinity groups, right? Y'all go hiking. I'm not interested. God, go find each other. No, really, if it's flat and shady. Y'all go find each other. Hallelujah. I've got an amen in the back. All right. Y'all go find each other out there, but in church and where church people go, we take that story that is not said elsewhere. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Spirit that connects. There is more than just this. Even if you are not a theist necessarily, a God out there kind of theist, still there's more that we know from our experience of being faith community together. And then we have to figure out, especially this church, we have to figure out how do we articulate and promote the church's abundance without sounding arrogant and self-serving. Hey, you and me, it's like I could say this to any of my some of my UCC churches. Yeah? We think kind of highly of ourselves. How do we talk about what we have and have found and are so that others can also be here too and get that? Because they're hungry for it. They are hungry for it. Do not live in fear. Speak of your abundance. Use simple words. This is 2022. We've lived through a worldwide pandemic and we're adjusting to switching to an endemic. If we've learned one thing through this traumatic crisis, we've learned the importance of human connection. Relationship is more important than being right. And we can share out of our abundance and continue to transform the world, because that abundant harvest is for everybody. Amen.